What I like to do on the setup is I have multiple browsers open for each of my YouTube channels, forcing me into doing updates despite the fact that I don't want to do them. I don't have to do anything. Who the fuck are you? And I actually got a very insightful post from someone that I want to share with you. First of all, honest question for everyone out there, and I know that I have, audience of a couple hundred people right now that'll grow over the course of the show. In Windows 10, I don't know about 11, but in Windows 10, is it a true statement that you cannot tell a PC running on Windows 10 that you just don't want to do updates? And the reason I ask that is because this laptop runs on Windows 10, and periodically Windows updates download to it automatically, which, by the way, I don't tell it to do, but it does it anyway. And then it tells me that it needs to install them.
And right from the start, I've got nothing but questions. And thankfully, Bill Williams is actually in chat asking DSP one of them right now. Why would you want to do that? Now, obviously, there are plenty of legitimate reasons why you wouldn't want your Windows or your OS at all to update, but I don't think that DSP actually knows any of them. So I'm also left genuinely wondering with Bill Williams, why would you want to do that, DSP? It couldn't possibly have anything to do with how regarded your setup actually is, could it?
Now, here's the thing. This PC literally is only used to monitor chat, monitor contributions, and every once in a while do things randomly. Nothing major at all. I literally don't do anything else. It does not, it probably uses 5% of its processing power. Seriously, I can't imagine this thing being heavily utilized. I don't go to any sites where I care about security or anything like that. None of that, okay?
I just love how it progresses from, oh, I only use it for this and that, and then all of a sudden, and a few other things hew in there randomly, not all the time. It's just not a very accurate descriptor and honestly a waste of oxygen. But then it goes on to talk about the resources, maybe 5%. I couldn't imagine it being actually utilized. Like, you don't have to imagine it. You could open up the task manager right now and take a look. I don't know why we have to make up numbers that are literally at the tips of our fingers. Just look at it, stupid. What does the number say? And what could he possibly mean by the statement,
I don't go to any sites where I care about security or anything like that? None of that.
do you go to some websites and just start giving out all of your personal information? Are there actually websites that you go to where you just don't care if they're stealing your info? I'm not going to tell you how to live your life because I think that you get what you deserve. What I will say is that if that is what you're doing, I wouldn't recommend it. But what does any of the information that he's given us have to do with getting Windows updates? I'm just not seeing how all of these pieces fit together.
So, quite frankly, what I like to do on the setup is I have multiple browsers open for each of my YouTube channels. For example, one browser is logged in and has all the information for DSP Gaming. The other browser, the other browser is logged into DSP React, and a third browser is logged into DSP Throwback. So each week, as I jump between the channels and I do various shows, I don't have to constantly be logging in, logging out, opening, reopening setups and videos and windows and things like that, okay? So I like doing it that way.
Yes, you heard that right. That's the reason that we don't want to do our Windows updates as scheduled. For anybody who didn't know, that's DSP confirming that he uses 3 separate browsers for his 3 separate YouTube channels, because he couldn't possibly be bothered to log in and log out of these several accounts that he has all in the same browser in just different windows, which is really odd to me given how fast it actually is to swap accounts if you use the same email address for all of them, which I would imagine that he is doing. Regardless, it's still a very strange solution for a very strange problem that DSP created entirely by himself.
All right. Now, with a major PC, like my main PC, obviously with Windows updates and things, you want to do them. But on a PC that literally I'm only using to monitor chat, okay, I don't see the reason behind having to do the updates all the time. Maybe every once in a while, I like to accumulate a ton of them and do them all at once, right? I used to do that. But now that this laptop is on Windows 10, I'm not kidding you, it seems to be forcing me into doing updates despite the fact that I don't want to do them. And I don't like that.
It doesn't seem like he has an actual issue with the system updating. He just likes to accumulate them, but for what reason? He's really just pressed because the system won't let him indefinitely procrastinate. Combined with the fact that he, for some reason, views the OS as giving him some sort of command and telling him what to do, which immediately triggered his ODD, or as I like to call it, his bratty kid syndrome.
I don't like that somehow Microsoft seems to tell me what to do on a device that I own. I own this laptop. I own the copy of Windows 10. Who are they to tell me I'm being forced to do an update?
Now, I'm no legal scholar, but I'm pretty sure that you don't own that copy of Windows. You own a license to use Windows. And if he wanted to argue that purchasing the license means that he owns Windows and should be able to do whatever he wants with it, he should point that out in the license agreement that he absolutely agreed to during his purchase. Because of course, as a totally legitimate businessman, you know he had to read the Windows license agreement.
So what they let you do is they let you like delay it for a little bit, like up to 30 days. But then after that, they say, oh, you've paused the maximum amount of pauses. You can't pause again. You must now do the update. What? Like, no, I don't have to do anything. Who the fuck are you to tell me that I'm forced to do an update? This is bullshit. And it's pissing me off.
I know that you can defer Windows updates for quite a while, so DSP, in that amount of time, since you don't actually have an issue updating your system, you should have found the time to not be inconvenienced. You really have nobody other than yourself to blame for this as well. You're really going to try and convince everybody that in your super busy full-time streamer style schedule that you can't find 5 minutes to update and restart your laptop a month? A laptop that you use for your business, might I add. But like I said earlier, this has more to do with DSP not wanting to be told what to do by Microsoft. Because who cares about security patches that might make DSP more safe? He doesn't want to listen to authority, and that's obviously far more important.
And because here's the deal, this coming week, all right, I have both a special broadcast on Friday to cover the upcoming Summer Game Fest, and then I have another special broadcast on Sunday to cover the Xbox showcase and, you know, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 showcase, or whatever you want to call it, okay?
And real quick, both of those events were completely terrible, and I restreamed the Sunday one. It was just as miserable as the first.
It's a female mouse, by the way. So that's all well and good. The problem is, I don't want to have my setup reset during the week in the middle of these, especially one of those broadcasts is going to be at 10 a.m. I know that sounds really weird because I never stream that early. But yeah, one of the broadcasts I have to do around 10 a.m. I don't want to wake up, come in here, and all my shit has restarted. And now I have to reset up my entire setup for the stream and be late, or have to rush and be all stressed the fuck out. I should have control over my equipment. Not they tell me how to do my equipment. Go fuck yourself.
And there's actually a really simple solution to this, and it's that he could just quit using Windows if he's got that big of an issue with it. Of course, that would actually require him to use a different OS, and I couldn't imagine this guy trying to learn something like Linux. And how could he possibly justify purchasing a Mac and using Mac OS? And if he really wanted to try something out of his depth, he could, I don't know, go and ask the question on the internet search browser of his choice. I mean, he does use 3 of them, but I'm sure that at least one of them would be able to provide him step-by-step instructions on how to delay these updates, but instead, for some reason, he's decided to ask his dents in chat instead, because everybody knows that the fastest way to gather information is to ask your local dent.
Like, who the fuck are they? And the thing is, this didn't used to be like that. I can tell you purposefully that there were things that I have kept not updated for years and years and years, and it was fine. It doesn't affect anything. They might tell you it is. They might, oh my God, the sky is falling. They're full of shit. It doesn't make, it benefits them, not you. Okay, you update when you need to. If it's a piece of equipment you're literally not using often for anything too crazy, you don't have to do massive updates. Case in point, okay, I put off updates for like a month, and then they forced me to do them. I did them, and then immediately the next day they said, oh, there's more updates to do. Fuck you, I just did updates yesterday. What are you talking about? And that's the problem. Sorry, I don't want my setup constantly restarting every day because Microsoft is inefficient, doesn't know what the fuck they're doing, and constantly loads me with updates. They can kiss my ass, basically.
This really just showcases DSP's entire thought process when it comes to pretty much any topic. He's a serial procrastinator with the mindset of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And of course, now that he feels like he's being forced to do these updates against his will, he's deciding to just be as defiant as possible and make poor decisions. But for all DSP knows, they're actually trying to make his system better, because like I said earlier, it's not like he's actually reading any of these patch notes. He has no idea what any of these updates do. For all we know, one of those Windows updates could be that every future Windows update will now no longer close all 3 of your browsers. But I guess that the world may never know because DSP just refuses to do them.
So yeah, I'm pretty angry about this. I don't want to keep doing this. I thought, you know, maybe 2-3 times a year I queue up all the updates, and when I, nothing going on, I'll do them. Now, whenever we feel like it, we tell you to do the updates, and you're forced to do it, right? That's absolutely ridiculous. So does anyone know if this is true or not? Am I forced to do it? Like, it's telling me right now, I'm literally forced to do this update within the next 7 days. And there's nothing I can do about it. I've maximum number of pauses reached is what it's telling me. So if that's the case, I got to try to schedule it to do it on a night when it's a normal day, not when it's like, Friday or Sunday when I have these special events going on, but a normal day when I have some extra time to do that shit.
How much time do you need, boss? It really shouldn't take that long. I understand that he's got multiple updates to do now, but it can't take any more than an hour, and he's got at least that in between the streams. As soon as the first stream is over, DSP, update your goddamn laptop. That's why it's really not that complicated. Literally, as you're walking out the door, do it. Of course, he probably views updating Windows similar to how he views uploading to YouTube, which of course means that he would have to be in the room during the entire process babysitting. And if he's babysitting the update, how is he supposed to spend time with his family, dude?
Well, no one's actually answered me. You guys just say, "Oh, well, there's a reason that it's like," I don't care what the reason is. I don't give two shits. They don't, just because they run their businesses a certain way and they feel that it's beneficial to them to have auto updates doesn't mean that I have to bend over and take it and do what they say. It's my equipment. I bought it. I can do it as much as I fucking want or as little as I fucking want. They don't have the legal right to force me to do things at all. Period. That pisses me off.
Does he feel the same way when it comes to these video game consoles and the OSs that they operate on? Does he carry that same mentality when it comes to doing these updates for video games? I wouldn't imagine so, because it doesn't make any sense there, and it really doesn't make any sense here either. But I love him getting irate with his audience for trying to justify why auto updates exist and why he should just update his operating software. Because heaven forbid he actually listened to the answer that his chat gave him when he asked a question. But I guess that's what they get for not giving him the answer that he actually wanted.
Yeah, I didn't do, that's exactly right, David. I'm not doing Windows 11. They constantly keep telling me to do Windows 11 on here, and I'm not doing it. I hear so many things about Windows 11 that are bad, and people are like, "Oh shit, I hate Windows 11." I have Windows 11 on the mini PC. So far, seems okay, but when everyone's saying Windows 11 is inferior to 10, I am not putting Windows 11 on this thing,
Who is telling you bad things about Windows 11, DSP? Can you name these people? Can you point these people out in a lineup? Are they in the room with you right now? This is, of course, not me saying there's nothing wrong with Windows 11. I'm just curious as to who DSP thinks that he's talking to about operating systems with. But he's just confirmed that he has Windows 11 on the mini PC and hasn't had any problems with it whatsoever. So why does he have some strange refusal as to putting Windows 11 on his laptop as well? A laptop that he himself just said he doesn't use for anything more than just browsing and chat. None of this makes any sense when put together. None of it is lining up. Nothing except for the fact that DSP is a pig-headed boomer-style prick.
You can disable automatic updates, but after a certain point it becomes inevitable. No, exactly. That's exactly right. That's what's happened to me. Basically, I put it off for like a month or two, and it forced me to do it back in early May. I said, all right, fine, we'll do it. And then literally the next fucking day, it said, "Oh, there's more updates. You have to do them right now." I was like, "No, fuck you. I just did them yesterday." Just because you're too fucking stupid to program it to do it all at once doesn't mean that I have to now bend over and do more updates. So I delayed them another month, and now today it pops up, "That's it, your limit has been reached. Now you must do updates again." I'm like, who are you? It's like a bully coming to your house, and do what I say. No, fuck you, Microsoft. Who the fuck? Like, really? And the thing is, like I said, it didn't used to be like that.
You're right, DSP, it didn't used to be like that, but they also used to not be able to patch games after they came out on a physical disc, and as you can see, that is no longer the case. Things get updated now in the modern age, especially pieces of software that are actively being worked on. So it doesn't matter how things used to be, this is the way that things are now, DSP, and you're the one that agreed to the agreement. You're the person that decided to use Windows in the first place and not a different operating system. And you're also the person that refuses to look up the question themselves to get a concrete answer that is actually going to be beneficial to you. Because, spoiler alert, there is absolutely a way that you can defer these Windows updates for up to 365 days from what I've read.
I had Windows products in the past that I didn't update for a long time. I'm talking years. Seriously. Like, I was like, "Now, fuck that. I don't need the updates." And I would just deny, and it didn't affect shit. It never affected a damn thing. Nope, not once.
So all of the potential improvements and bug fixes that came throughout the years of that operating system that DSP was using, he never saw. Because he says that it never affected anything, as if all of the things that could have happened were all negative. Does he think that all updates are designed to make for a worse user experience? Undoubtedly some are, but there's definitely some benefits to be had as well, even if it is just minor bug fixes.
And it doesn't brick your... Wow, people are like, seriously? People are so the sky is falling and believe everything that they're told. Oh, but that will brick your PC. I shit you not. I had a PC I didn't do Windows updates on like for 4 years and it didn't brick the PC. It did nothing. The PC ran perfectly fine actually and never had an issue. So it's complete nonsense. Anyway, so no one's really helping. Everyone seems to be of the impression that there's nothing you can do. So I guess I'm stuck. I guess I have to do this forced restart in the next week. And Microsoft gets to control our lives because we use their operating system. Well, Microsoft, fuck you. Go fuck yourself. Seriously, that's bullshit. And if I had a way to disable it, I absolutely would. Okay. Okay.
Damn, he hit us with the pre-sip okay and the post-sip okay. What a combo. But of course, nobody was giving him the answer that he was looking for still, so that's going to be the end of the topic for today. But only for today, because you absolutely know the following day he had to re-bring up the topic. Because it wasn't enough non-tent the first time, we had to go back for seconds.
Yeah, all right. First topic today that I want to actually cover was actually a topic I opened the show with yesterday. If you remember, yesterday I said, man, this laptop runs on Windows 10, and it's angering me because it's telling me that I'm being forcefully told to do Windows updates.
How could anybody not remember something so stupid and ignorant, DSP? Honestly, I think that it would be more difficult to forget that somebody said something so stupid.
Now, previously, I've had many computers. I mean, I've had them since the 1990s. And at least in previous iterations of Windows before Windows 10, it seemed like you didn't have to do what you didn't want to. If you decided you didn't want to do a Windows update, you weren't forced to. You could indefinitely delay it or just tell it, hey, don't install updates until I tell you to. But in this case, at least it seems starting with Windows 10, Microsoft is literally bullying you into doing it. Saying, oh, you can delay it a certain amount of time, but inevitably you're going to have to install the updates we tell you to install without any kind of way around it. All right?
No, there's absolutely ways around it. You just didn't get that answer from your chat because they're not the end-all be-all of information like you think that they are. If he really wanted to take care of this problem, he absolutely could. All he would have to do is look it up for himself. I have no idea how he's so allergic to a search engine.
For example, you know, a few months ago, or I'd say probably earlier this year, it said there was a bunch of Windows updates needed. And I said, well, I don't want to do them now because I have a certain setup on my streams here where I have 3 browsers open on my laptop at all times. And each browser is for one of my YouTube channels, and each one has a setup. You know, there's one window open that shows contributions, there's one window open that shows the chat, and there's another window open to monitor tips coming in, because that's separate from the YouTube side. So I basically need 3 windows open to monitor any particular stream on my laptop. So I have 3 open per channel. So I have 9 windows open, you see?
I know a lot of that was repeat information that he's already given us, hence why I said it was repeat information. Keep up. But I wanted to be sure to include the part where he describes the 3 different windows that he has open for each of his 3 different browsers. Because despite how regarded his setup actually is, I do actually have to commend him for being able to utilize 9 different windows on one monitor. As a triple monitor user, I could never, dude. There's not enough screen real estate on one screen. I'm really only left questioning how he actually discerns what any of the text on the screen says, given how small those windows actually have to be, especially given the fact that he never wears his prescription glasses.
I don't want to have to do that over and over every single time that my laptop updates. It's a pain in the butt. So the thing is, I don't usually need Windows updates right away. All I use this laptop for is literally monitoring the streams every day. That's it. So if that's the case, right, then what's the big deal? I don't have to force myself to do them. So what I would do is I would queue them up. I would queue them up for several months and then do like one loaded update every few months. So I'd done that earlier this year. And then I remember it happened again like a week or 2 after. It said, oh, more updates. I said, I don't want to do updates again. I just did them. So I delayed them as long as I could. And I couldn't tell you how long they let me delay them, maybe like a month. And then I think again, they let me delay them like another month. And then finally it says, you've reached the limit, you must do updates. And I'm like, what does that mean?
How are you confused by that? It's in plain English. You can no longer delay these updates. I don't know how there was ever a question of what that could possibly mean. Real talk though, how did you have 2 months to install some updates and you couldn't find the time to do it? That's the question that really needs to be answered.
Like, never in my experience have I been told that I absolutely must update something that I own. You know, I own this laptop. No one has the right to tell me I have to install software on it if I don't want to. Apparently that's not the case anymore. Microsoft thinks that they can tell you what to do.
You guys remember earlier when I was asking if he felt that same exact way when it came to his video game consoles? Apparently the answer was actually no, he's completely forgotten about them. Which is really odd to me, being somebody who's done both console updates and Windows updates before. My Windows updates are significantly faster than the console ever was. And console updates are also far more inconvenient if you ask me, because you can't do them while you're turning the console off as you're going to leave. You actually get prompted to update them as soon as you turn the console on, meaning that if you were going to sit down and play video games after a hard day's work, you can no longer do that until it's finished. But what do I know? I don't run a business like the guy. Clearly, he's the source of knowledge on the subject.
I think that's pretty crazy, but apparently that's the case, and apparently people are just pushovers, right? Oh, well, I want to use Windows, so I just do what I'm told. I'll update. Do you even know what's in that update? What if it's taking away functionality? What if it's bogging down your laptop or your desktop and making it run worse? What if you don't want it? You're not allowed to not have it? I guess not, according to Microsoft. They think that they're fucking better than us and can tell us what to do, I guess. I mean, that's essentially what it is.
I have no idea where he got this idea from, that Microsoft is just looking to tell people what to do because they think that they're better than everybody else. It really has nothing to do with that, and everything to do with the fact that this is their software that they're constantly updating, and yes, they're going to be pushing new features that you probably do or don't want. But if that's something that you really concern yourself with, then you need to be reading the patch notes and actually being informed on it. Unlike DSP, who is insanely uninformed and just complaining to complain.
Anyway, so basically, the reason that this really pissed me off is because I did a Windows update like a month ago. I was forced to do it. And then within 1 day of me doing that Windows update, the thing popped up again saying, you have to do it again. Another update is available. You must do it. It's mandatory. And I was like, I just did it. I literally just fucking did it. And I had to redo all my browsers and everything. And now they're telling me they want to do it again. And I'm getting pretty upset.
And I know that we've already talked about the fact that he's got 3 different browsers for his 3 different YouTube channels, which is just absurd and doesn't make any sense. But I also want to acknowledge that the task that he's trying to avoid isn't all that taxing, and it doesn't take all that much time at all to just open up some windows and reopen your tabs. And if this is the only thing that he uses his laptop for, he could absolutely just bookmark the tabs on all 3 of his browsers and instantly open them as soon as the browser launches. Again, for the record, absolutely insane that we even have to talk about this. But if this is something that he's genuinely concerned about, there's ways to save himself time and avoid all of this headache. I've just never heard anybody talk about opening tabs as if it was some sort of insurmountable task.
So I said, no, delay again. So I delayed it like another month. And then yesterday they said, oh, you have to do it again. You have to schedule it for the next week. So we talked about this yesterday on the show. And I actually got a very insightful post from someone that I want to share with you. Here's what they have to say. Ready? This is a comment on yesterday's podcast, by the way. Windows 10 Enterprise actually gives users the ability to disable Windows Update, and that's why I'm currently running it on my gaming PC. The day I installed it, it blocked the updates in the group policy editor, the registry, and in the service.misc. Since I blocked the updates in those 3 places, my PC has not downloaded or been prompted to download any updates. In addition to that, I also use a free firewall called Simple Wall, which blocks everything on your PC from accessing the internet by default. When you open a program that tries to connect to the internet like a browser, a pop-up appears, giving you the option to block that connection permanently, allow the connection for only a limited time, or to actually grant full access at all times. If you give Chrome full access, for example, Simple Wall allows Chrome to have unrestricted internet access. Indefinitely. If you use another app, such as Steam, that also attempts to connect to the internet, you'll see the same pop-up asking what permission to grant Steam, etc. Essentially, you become the one who decides to get access, acting like a bouncer, and you only have to decide once per program. So essentially what I'm being told, yes, you can stop Windows from doing Windows updates, but you either need a specific version of Windows that most people don't have. Like, I'm sure that this laptop came with like Windows 10 Home or whatever. It didn't come with Enterprise Edition. Why would it? It's a home use laptop, right? Or you have to use third-party software like this Simple Wall in order to stop it from doing whatever it wants, right?
That definitely is a way around the situation. You could take that path if you want DSP. But of course, if you were to just look this up yourself, you'd get a more concrete and definite answer, some that you might actually be able to accomplish. Because I'm going to keep it a $1.35 with everybody, I really don't think that DSP is capable of doing any of those things.
Now, what do I mean by that?
What I mean is I don't think that DSP is actually capable of navigating third-party software in that manner. I think that it would get lost on the page just trying to download the thing, let alone setting it up. And could you actually imagine the pre-stream that would immediately follow DSP uninstalling and installing a new operating system on his laptop? Oh my god, it would go on for 100 years. We'd be going into like quadruple overtime.
That's absolutely ridiculous. And again, I think that someone should do something about it, and it ain't gonna be me, but that's a class action right there. Everyone just sues Microsoft and says, what are you, out of your fucking mind? It's our hardware. Despite the fact we're using your software, you don't get to tell us that we have to do something and install something on our hardware, especially if we deem it unnecessary or maybe even harmful. Sorry, that's bullshit. You don't get to tell us what to do with things we own, right?
Unfortunately, they do DSP. That's how these licenses work. It's really ultimately your decision whether or not you agree to them and continue to use their software. But I absolutely cannot stand when somebody says that somebody should do something, but it's not gonna be them. Then shut the hell up. If you're not willing to be part of the solution to the problem that you're complaining about, then you should just sit down and shut up. Which is honestly where he should have started and stayed at, being as how uninformed he actually is when it comes to this topic. And he always thinks that everything is a class action lawsuit. I hate to break it to you, DSP, but everything that you think is a class action is really just you not understanding or even reading the terms of service that you're constantly agreeing to.
Anyway, I find it nonsensical. So by the way, the funny part about this is I turned on my laptop this morning. Oh, the Windows Update installed. I didn't tell it to. I scheduled it for Saturday. It just did it anyway. I'm serious. Yesterday on this podcast, while we were talking about it, I told it to schedule it to do it on Saturday between the two React shows I'm doing for the big game events this weekend. If you remember, Friday is Summer Game Fest and Sunday is Xbox. It just did it by itself. Without my permission. Even though I distinctly told it to do it Saturday. So, what did it mess up? Nothing, but guess what? I had to redo all my browsers this morning. Everything was fucking reset. I got to reopen. Some of them, like 2 of the browsers actually like remembered the settings. So it opened up Jasper. You're not going to be chewing wires. Jasper, stop right now. You're not chewing those wires. Ugh. I can never finish a story when Jasper is in here these days.
Then kick him out of the room, DSP, and leave it that way. This is an actual detriment to the content that you make that you have to make in order to pay your bills. The fact that you think that this is an acceptable thing to have to do just about every day at this point is kind of laughable and just goes to show you how little you actually care about the quality of the content that you make. There shouldn't be these interruptions, especially for something like a podcast, something that's supposed to be audio style. But even if it wasn't a podcast, and I use that term very loosely, even as a visual style viewer, the only way that you can actually view, it still doesn't make for good content and is just a waste of everybody's time. There's actually no reason that you can't just ban the cat from being in your office while you're doing your streams. But before he started to talk about Jasper, who's constantly trying to eat wires and self-commit, I absolutely love the fact that he acknowledged that 2 of his browsers that he uses for this stupid setup actually remembered what tabs he had open and auto-opened them, so he only had to open 1 browser. And that's what we're complaining about right now. That's what spurred this discussion today. All this drivel because the guy had to open 1 browser.
Anyway, so yeah, so some of the browsers remembered, some didn't. So basically I was in here an extra, 15 plus minutes setting up the browsers before I could stream today. And it's frustrating, but it's done unless it pops up again today. Because again, it could. This is what happened last time, is it said, oh, it's done. And then within like a day, it popped up. Oh, you need it again. What are you talking about? So I guess we'll see. But again, for me, that throws me for a loop because that's never happened before on previous PCs or anything like that at all. I've never seen that before. And it kind of blows my mind that is something that they're just demanding. They've never demanded that before. And now all of a sudden it's a demand of Microsoft. You must update because we say so. How about you go fuck yourself and I decide what's best for myself and my belongings. And you stay the fuck out of my belongings until I tell you to go into there to do something. But I guess we all have to be bitches to these giant corporations now, right? Okay.
Of course, everybody's just a pawn to these megacorps DSP. That's actually the answer. You're right. Nobody knows what they're talking about or what's best for them. You're truly a hero standing up for what's actually just and right in the world, and everybody else is just a coward. What an obnoxious piece of work. And in a strange turn of events, I didn't get this video done on time, but I guess that actually worked out because we got yet another mention of the Windows updates. Luckily for everybody involved, it was actually a fairly short one, so I'm just going to show it to you because I don't have much to say about it. I just thought it was funny.
The 11th, you've got to be kidding me. It's Tuesday, the 11th of June, 2024, and my laptop is telling me I need to do a Windows update. We just talked about this not a week ago. Oh my God. Yo, Windows, seriously, can get fucked. This is ridiculous, dude. Are you kidding me? What a joke. Another update for Windows. I just did all the updates, and I just redid all my browsers not even a week ago, and now they want me to do it again. Get the fuck out of here, man. Here, advanced options. Yeah, so now, because they're giving me the option to put it off for a while again. So I'm just going to do that right now. There, okay. Leave me alone. Seriously, I told them to leave me alone for a month. What a joke. Microsoft telling me what to do with my equipment that I own.
Like I said, didn't really have anything more to say on it, just thought it was funny that even a week later we are still talking about Windows updates, as if it's even a topic of discussion. But speaking of discussions, I want to take a look at some of the comments from my last video, so of course it's big ups to the 60 skulls. Mr. Extravagant 7130 comes in with the timestamp at 24 seconds saying, "Now I'm just gonna say one thing, okay?" Proceeds to go on a multi-day rant, lol. And that's why he's the GO, because even when he has nothing to say, he has an infinite amount of things to say, just like when he says that he doesn't know anything about a topic or another person, and then he can tell you their entire life story and everything that they've done wrong up till now. The guy's favorite hobby is wasting oxygen, and that only means that there's so much more content for the detractors to pick apart. Truly a gift that keeps on giving in the worst way possible. Spartan Posum 6855 says, "I'm convinced at this point DSP is believing his own lies. I wanted to type a whole rant, but at this point just watching him in disbelief and laughing is all I can do." And really that's all anybody should be doing. DSP is a nothing and a nobody on the internet that doesn't actually have an effect on anybody. But when it comes to DSP believing his own lies, that's about the only way that I can actually see anybody spouting the nonsense that he does. I mean, if he didn't believe it, how could he spout it so convincingly? And M. Ducey comes in with a real question. How did he ever create a fan base? How does he have legit fans? And of course the answer is that people did legitimately like him back in the day because there wasn't many options. When you're a big fish in a small pond, you tend to thrive. Unfortunately for DSP, he's no longer the big fish and the pond has grown exponentially wider. Now, if your question was, how does he have legit fans now? That's a great question that I honestly don't know the answer to. The only idea that makes any sense to me is that there are people out there that like paying DSP's way through life, and they maybe even get off on the idea. Other than that, I can't think of a legitimate reason. But hopefully everybody who watched this video, especially if you made it this far, can find a reason to come back for the next one. Until then, make sure that you check out other detractor content and dive deeper into that. Snortech.